اسلامی قبل از انقلاب اسلامی در طول تاریخ ایران بارها شاهد جنایت از سوی آمریکایی‌ها بودیم. سال 57 در طول دوره 8 سال دفاع مقدس، علل خصوص در آخرهای دوره دفاع مقدس، شاهد جنایت مستقیم اونها بودیم. هر بار دست به جنایتی زدن پاسخ قاطعانه گرفتند و این بار هم به همین ترتیب خواهد بود.
بتخنن به تو بدلو نقلی
איזה פחד.
מה, עינב?
שמשמור איזה פחד.
מה קרה?
נפל לידי כמעט על הראש שלי. תראי עכשיו.
בתחנן به تو بدلو نقلی
איזה פחד.
מה, עינב?
שמשמור איזה פחד.
מה קרה?
נפל לידי כמעט על הראש שלי. תראי עכשיו.
It's not only the US, all the world. We are making the war for all the nations, for Europe too, because Iran is not satisfied only to hurt Israel. They want to take all the Middle East, all Europe, and I don't want to say the rest. I'm not politics. Yeah, but I understand something about this life. This is the situation. I was 100 meters from here. I'm living in this building. Me and my daughter, we heard the first alarm to go in the shelter. I woke up my daughter, I told her to come. She came, we sit in, we close the door with our dogs, and 7:07 they start the alarm. It was the first alarm. We hear the booms far away, and then the second alarm, I heard like a plane is going over our head, and it was like a big whistle, and then after a second I heard a big boom. My ears was like bombing. The door of the shelter was open. The dog ran away, and we were in fear. I took my carriage. I closed the door back. My daughter started to cry, and we waited for the Picud Ha'oref to come and tell us to go out. When we went out, we saw that the window in the living room was broken. All the pictures were broken. Pieces from the wall was on the floor, and all over the house.
The sound was huge.
Huge. I never heard such a sound. I was in the army, and my parents live in Ashkelon. I passed few bombs. I passed few walls.
But it was nothing like this.
This one was a tsunami from up, really.
There still is a lot of public anger unloading here on the streets of Tehran. Thousands of people have come here to Revolution Square, first and foremost to criticize U.S. President Trump and to vow revenge for those strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. One of the interesting things that we're seeing on the ground now here is that it's not only conservatives and hardliners who are here, but also people who say they're normally quite critical of the Iranian government.
Even if missiles rain down on my head, I will stay here, she says, and I will sacrifice my life and my blood for my country. This member of parliament says a lot of those standing here chanting slogans against the United States may have been critics of the policies of the Islamic Republic. But today, all of us are standing in one line behind the supreme leader.
People now chanting death to America here at Revolution Square, and you can really feel how angry a lot of them are towards President Trump. Of course, the Iranian government has said that it reserves the right to retaliate for those strikes on the nuclear facilities, saying that it is their right to have nuclear enrichment. It is their right to have a nuclear program, and it's not something that they're going to allow the Trump administration to take away from them. And that is certainly also the sentiment that we're seeing here on the streets of Tehran.
Well, by the reporting I've received, there were at least a dozen that were used. You could see 6 entry points at the Fort Isle facility, so it's quite possible that there were bunker buster bombs that followed the initial strikes into the same holes to reach deeper into the facility. It is the first time they've been used in combat. Of course, they've been tested extensively, and they appear to have worked as advertised, although we won't know for several days the actual extent of the damage. So there are at least 3 ways that U.S. intelligence will determine the effectiveness of the strikes. One is satellite imagery. We can see what we can see from above. The second is signals intelligence. So the Iranians will be chatting about what happened, and we'll be intercepting those communications and perhaps decrypting them. And then finally, the Israeli intelligence services have human intelligence operators on the ground and paid informants, and then they'll get some information that way. So between the 3 methods, the hope is that we'll have a pretty good handle on the extent of the damage and whether the nuclear program has survived in any form.
偷偷告诉大家，我最近发现了新法宝 Royal Face 逆时奇迹系列，它有活肤露、全效精华，还有精华霜。尤其我皮肤比较偏干，所以我非常的注重保湿。保湿做得好，肌肤自然烹润。提亮肤色更年轻，抚平皱纹超有感，而且气色变好。用心保养，每天都更美丽。美吧。